Welcome in, everybody. It is time for the Sunday night Longhorn Livestream. I'm Bobby Burton, joined by Jerry Hamilton and Rod Babers. It's halftime right now of the Kansas City Chiefs Buffalo Bills game. I thought it'd be a good time to us talk a little Longhorn football, given that we've got some late breaking news this afternoon. We find out that Texas has a defensive tackle on campus this afternoon, or at least they did. He's now headed, we believe, to Florida for his next visit. Hero Kanu, a rotational player at Ohio State, 6'5", 305 pounds, made a visit to Texas this weekend, came in yesterday, left this afternoon. We'll pass along more info as we have it. Also, of course, we're going to talk about that, as well as the Longhorns and that big-time comeback basketball win yesterday over Texas A&M, 70-69. Longhorns also had a big junior day surrounding that win. So the football team had a junior day. The women's basketball team actually came back against Ole Miss, won it in the last minute on a Maddie Booker jump shot, 60-58. So they remain, I believe, number 7 ranked team in the country, 19-2 or
20-2
now for the Lady Longhorns as well. All right, that's going to do it. We're also going to take y'all's questions, talk a little football, basketball, whatever you guys want to talk about here right now. Hey, Jerry, let's go ahead and start with Hero Kanu, because this is a guy you followed coming out of high school a little bit, know a little bit about him. He's visited some big-time programs before he chose Ohio State originally. Then he goes and becomes a rotational player for the Buckeyes. I think he had 14 tackles, 1 sack on this season. Your knowledge right now about where Texas sits with Hero Kanu, or is it too early to tell, really?
Yeah, I was still taking visits, so we'll see if he takes another visit after Florida tomorrow. But Texas does have a connection there. Texas actually recruited him out of high school, but they never really became a player. And the reason they have a connection is PK has a connection to that staff down in that area where he went to high school. There's a connect there that helps get the kids from Germany over to the States, and they all play football at the same school. Texas also recruited the Jamal Hahn, the D lineman that signed with Georgia, from that same school, same guy, through PK this year. So PK has a connection there. Kenny Baker had built in a connection with that guy trying to recruit Jamal Hahn, the D lineman from this last class that signed with Georgia. So we'll see where it goes. I mean, he was on campus, would be a good quality rotational player. I think Texas is looking for one more rotational player and maybe one frontline guy. I think get 4 D linemen out of the portal, or 2 more, 4 total. But we'll see what happens after the Florida visit. He's headed to Florida right now.
Jerry, junior day also yesterday. Not a lot of action, relatively speaking, because Steve Sarkisian was under the weather. Hard to make hay when your coach can't be there for junior day.
Yeah, I know. It takes the juice out of it. And when I say juice, the silent commitments, right? Nobody's committing if the head coach isn't there, Rod. I mean, you wouldn't have committed if Mac wasn't there. So kids had a really good time. The junior day was a little shorter than normal, but everybody we talked to, I mean, look, this is one area Texas has a lot of juice, though. Back-to-back playoffs, bunch of guys about to get drafted again. Now when an offensive lineman walks in, Kyle Fluck, and say, here's Kelvin Banks Lombardi Award and his Outland Award, just like Texas defensive coaches can do with T'Vondre Sweat, and Jalen Locke can go hold Jahdae Barron's Thorpe Award, right? I mean, so Texas has a lot of juice right now. They had a lot of talented kids there yesterday. A lot of talented kids. So not all positives coming out of the junior day, as you'd expect at Texas right now. But since Steve Sarkisian wasn't there, the key part of that junior day did not happen. And that was when the kid and the family or the coaches, whoever brought him down, go meet with Steve Sarkisian and really get to, that discussion of, yes, we're going to offer you, hey, asking if anybody's ready to be a part of it, whether that's privately or publicly. Those conversations didn't happen. It was prospects meeting with maybe a defensive staff, they were a defensive player, but more it was just meeting with their position coaches. Like a Jalen Lott spent a lot of time with Terry Joseph. Texas is recruiting Jalen Lott at the corner. Jermaine Bishop from Willis, who I think Texas is in a pretty good spot with, the 4-star plus athlete from Willis. He met with both Terry Joseph and Chris Jackson because he's a guy that I think corners probably where it leans, but recruiting him as an athlete. But, Kyle Flood had a big day. Johnny Nansen had a big day. They had a number of guys on campus yesterday.
Good stuff there, Jerry, for that as well. Also on campus yesterday was that win over the Aggie basketball team, ranked number 13 in the country, up by 22 points midway in through the second half. Double digits with 6 minutes left, yet Trey Johnson and Trayvon Mark decided it wasn't going to happen. Rod B, I know you like to beat the Aggies as much as anybody, given that you played for Texas a little bit. What'd you see yesterday that had you smiling a little bit, bud?
No, man, a comeback like that it has everybody smiling because initially, I think a lot of folks, especially on social media, they had to eat some crow because of the Longhorns' big comeback against the Aggies. So give Rodney Terry some love. He's been dealing with a lot lately, I'm sure, with a lot of criticism of that team, and they got a hell of a stretch coming up because the SEC is just it's a battleground in terms of college basketball right now. So I'll give him a ton of credit, man. That was a gutsy win. Had to have it. It's always good to beat your rival, but especially when you need a big win and you had a comeback win, hopefully it can propel them forward and get a lot of momentum after a big win and kind of, just a kind of an iconic way to end a game against a rival, man, with a game winner like that. So I'm hoping it just gives them a lot of momentum, but you're going to need more than that in the SEC.
Texas Sports put this on Twitter, and I don't know if y'all can see this. What we're showing right now is the reaction from the fans. It cracks me up. All the young kids have their phones out,
including Taft, Arch, DeAndre Moore, and Cedric Baxter.
That's what it's all about right there. If you're a young kid, getting to go see a game like that, they excited, very excited.
The one thing I was going to say about the game was it gives Texas NCAA tournament hope now. They needed to go on a couple game winning streak, and they have now. So they're at the 3-4 in conference play. 7-11 could get you in a play-in game because the SEC is so strong, but more than likely you want to get to 8-10 to know. People say, well, you'd be under 500 in the NCAA tournament. In this conference, yeah, you would, because your NCAA net's going to be. If Texas were to go 8-10 in conference play, their NCAA net would be probably in the low 40s. I mean, so they'd be comfortably thought of as an NCAA tournament team, and that doesn't mean they're going to be an 8-9 seed. That probably means you're in a play-in game or an 11 seed, and you're obviously not going to be favored to win. But the conference is so good that if they can get to 8-10 in conference play, then I think they're going to get in. The question is, where's now that you can look at the schedule at 3-4, where are those 5 wins? Where are those 5 wins? You go to Ole Miss this week. So hello, Chris Beard. Good to see you again. Then you're at LSU. So 2 road games this week before you come back home. You absolutely have to split the 2 road games. You can't go 0-2 and just undo everything you did. Then you're sitting there 3-6 looking up at it saying, ooh, we got to go get 5, and we don't have that many left.
Yep. All right, we're going to take y'all's questions next here at On Texas Football. Before we do so, I want to say hats off to Moro Ojomo. He punched his ticket for the Super Bowl earlier today with the Philadelphia Eagles. He'll be playing next in the Super Bowl here pretty soon. And then also, what a whale of a first half that Xavier Worthy is having this evening for the Kansas City Chiefs. 1 touchdown catch, kind of a circus catch as well. He is becoming a late season big time addition for Kansas City. All right, before we get to your questions, I want to ask Rod Babers to do us a favor and tell fans out there about Rogue Shop.
Thank you, Bobby. I appreciate you. And I appreciate our friends over at Rogue Shop for being a member of the On Texas Football family. You can see the website right there, rogueshop.com. That's how you get there. But Rogue Shop doing a great job, folks, of helping you deal with a variety of different ailments, whether it be sleep deprivation, you're having issues with sleep. Maybe it's the anxiety issues that are plaguing you. Maybe like me, you're dealing with pains and aches all over the place, especially in my shoulders and my back because of my playing days. Well, our friends over at rogueshop.com. They have a variety of different things to help you, no matter what you may be dealing with. Check them out at rogueshop.com. They have oils and creams and gummies, flour, vitamins as well. They have a lot of different things over there at rogueshop.com. Make sure you use the discount code on Texas, and you'll get a very special discount from my friends over at rogueshop.com, bringing real plant medicine back to its roots. And make sure you use that promo code on Texas, and you'll get a very special discount from our very special friends at rogueshop.com.
Tell you what, Xavier Worthy, I was talking about how good a game he's having in the first half. 5 catches on 5 targets for 62 yards and a touchdown, 2 carries for 16 yards as well. Andy Reid dialing him up in big-time situations right now.
By the way, congrats to producer Matt. He's an Eagles fan, so if anybody hears about a couch burning in Tallahassee, it's probably him tonight.
Hey, the one thing we didn't hit on at the outset that we probably should have, news broke earlier today that Jim Knowles, the defensive coordinator for Ohio State, is headed to Penn State to become the new defensive coordinator for James Franklin. Juan Garza with the Super Chat. Wow. What do y'all think of Knowles to Penn State? Kind of shocking. What does this do for Texas and Oklahoma? Also, how come you don't have Matt on a live chat? Matt's a producer. I'll let Matt explain himself on his own in the chat itself. But what does this do? Because Knowles was thought to be perhaps, Rod, going to Oklahoma. That didn't work out. No. So the Sooners don't get richer there, so to speak. But what does this do for Texas and Ohio State next year? That's interesting to me.
And they could be losing their OC too.
Kelly to the NFL. Yep.
Yeah, he's getting a lot of NFL love. I know my Houston Texans, actually. I think he's on the short list of candidates for the Texans offensive coordinator job. So they could be losing both of them. I never believed the Oklahoma thing. It didn't make any sense. I know that the story was there was his girlfriend or a significant other down there or something like that.
This isn't high school football recruiting. This is job security.
I'm like, yeah, I know it's undefeated, but man, that's crazy. You just don't go to Oklahoma just because of a good woman like that. Hey, man, you can make enough money, you can move her up there with you. But it makes more sense him going to Penn State because of the salary. Obviously, they're paying him over $3 million, making him the highest paid, but defensive coordinator in college football history or whatever. That makes more sense. And for James Franklin, it fits, right? He got Koltaniki from Kansas, and now he's taking he likes the Big 12. In terms of the Big 12's, the evolutionary adaptations in that conference, and a lot of the experimental kind of pioneering schemes and I would say strategies that come from the Big 12. Whether you're talking about the 3 high, or you're talking about Kansas, which when Koltaniki was there with Lance Leapo, guys, that was one of the top 10 most creative offenses in college football, maybe top 5. So he took that offensive line, or one of them, and then he took Jim Knowles, and Jim Knowles has been on the cutting edge the last 10 years, 5 to 7 years or so, as being one of the top defensive minds in college football. So James Franklin recipe is for those guys to get me over the top. I got the talent. Everybody knows I have the talent. That's why I'm kind of a laughing stock, because I have the talent, right? There's no denying that. I need the scheme and the strategy to help me separate. So I think he's going to get that, and we'll see if it works.
A twofold for me on this, Bobby, is one, we talked about this with OU. Was he really, I don't care about the wife, girlfriend, whatever she is he really going to go to Oklahoma right now when the head coach could legitimately be fired during the season next year? The answer to that was obviously no.
Yeah.
Twofold, has anybody had a better offseason than Penn State?
Well, they get the guys back.
Comes back. Yeah. Coach running backs come back. They get Jim Knowles from Ohio State. That's a pretty good offseason for Penn State now.
They may not have the pieces. I was looking at NFL draft piece today for Pro Football Focus. Guys put up a draft piece that ranked the top 300 prospects in the 2025 NFL draft. Penn State had like 5 guys on defense.
Yeah,
but I know James Franklin recruits well, but Abdul Carter is one of those guys. The edge, I think one of their safeties, one of their corners. They had quite a few guys listed in that. So I don't know that he's going to have quite the personnel Jim Knowles had at Ohio State. There's no Caleb Downs back there. I know that much.
Yeah.
At safety. But it'll be something interesting to watch because I agree with Jerry. They've had a wonderful off season. What were we going to say,
Rob?
Rob?
Philly too. I think he's from right. That's kind of a home going for him as well.
Yeah, and $3 million plus.
Yeah, it's nice to come home for $3 million, Bobby.
Yeah, they showed they wanted him. One thing is for sure, Tucker's got this right. OU football program took another L today. That is true because I don't know what I think it would have been an embarrassment of riches for them had they gotten Jim Knowles because Brent Venables is a good defensive coordinator, guys.
I think
really, really good.
Yeah.
So had they had him and Venables together, who knows what they could have cooked up. But this will I think probably make Venables continue to be have a large focus of his time on defense. He wanted to get more involved with the team as a whole, is what I'm told. I don't know that he's going to be able to hand it over to somebody now, right? So that might keep him from there. Burnt Orange Horn, Jerry. One wonders why 4 OT were attending. I think 3 were left tackles. Look, I got to be honest. I don't think that Texas necessarily recruits anybody that can't play tackle at some level at the high school level. You're going to have these guys basically compete, right, Jerry? When you talk about these junior day and offensive linemen, because the list here: Felix Ojo, Toa Katoa, Nick Robertson, Max Wright, Zayden Crippen, Drew Evers. And then there's also some 27s there as well.
Well, I think the main thing is the majority of kids play tackle in high school. DJ Campbell played left tackle in high school. And 80 to 90% of the kids you're going to recruit play left tackle in high school. So they're not all going to be tackles, even though they think they are. It's not going to happen. You just go down the list. Look at all the guys that play left tackle in high school and then don't play left tackle in college. There's very few of those guys that actually play left tackle at a very high level. I'm going to use that to mention this. Somebody's asking about people freaking out about Turntine at Tennessee. Look, these guys are going to take visits. He did tell Texas he was going to Tennessee, by the way. Early in the week, we had heard he had a family something going on. Caden Finley also went to Notre Dame this week, and I'm sure people are freaking out about that. Jermichael Finley told Texas they were going to go to Notre Dame late in the week. So I wouldn't be freaking out. Rumors about Texas recruiting to play guard, that's a bad rumor. That's not true. I don't even know where that's coming from. That's ridiculously dumb. And somebody mentioned who do I like more, Turntine and Ojo? I think Turntine's going to be I think he may be a great player. I think Ojo's got a lot of upside. I think it's going to take him longer to get there. A basketball kid. He drops weight during the season. I think he's on a different developmental curve.
Well, look, I think that you look at these guys and Texas wants the raw material and they'll go from there, guys. There's no reason to sit here and nitpick, in my opinion, about 4 offensive tackles coming in. Well, you got to choose. No, you really don't if you're Texas. You need to find out which one fits you best. And you're not going to necessarily know that unless you get to meet them all and talk to them all. And that's my opinion.
I think the most important thing for me, guys, is when you have conversations with these kids, and look, everybody wants to play tackle till they can. Who's willing to play guard if tackle doesn't work out? Because that takes a special physicality and mentality as well. Everybody can't play tackle. So I think that's why meeting with these kids and understanding those kids who, if tackle doesn't work out, has the mentality to play guard. I just don't think it's not as easy as just, you go play guard. It's a physical position. And you're going to be playing against some big old athletic dudes in the SEC. So I think that who's going to be willing to do that? Look, Nicholas Robertson knows he's a guard. Toa Katoa knows he's a guard. So some of those guys do know their guards as well.
All right, got a good comment here from Antoine. Appreciate you posting this. Demarion Johnson, the big offensive lineman from Tyler Legacy, who was offered by Texas yesterday. Now he's a class of 2027 prospect, so he's only going to be a junior this year. 3 UT guys on staff there at Legacy: Bo Trahan, the head coach, Lee Jackson, the former safety, Rod B, and Brandon Nava out of Mesquite. He's on staff here apparently at Legacy as well. Thank you, Antoine, for letting us know that. Jerry, you've been up to Legacy, and what do you think of Damarian Johnson and the offers that went out yesterday? Not just to Damarian Johnson, but the other offensive line offer in the class of 2027, Kennedy Brown out of Kingwood.
Yeah, the kid at Kingwood, both of them are going to be high-end nationally recruited prospects. Kennedy Brown has extremely long arms for a 6'5" kid. I think it's like 84 inches, like extreme long arms. He's a plus, whatever that would be, +7 wingspan guy, +6, +7 wingspan guy. So that's a massive wingspan for a 6'5" kid. So really good, really talented players. The D lineman, the 27 that got offered out of Lake Dallas, he looked really good physically. He's got a lot of upside on him as well. The receiver from Weiss will be one of the most highly ranked and recruited receivers in America. His mom played basketball at Alabama. His father, pastor of a church there and there. I think Derek Johnson, Fozzie Whitaker attend that church. But Trey Moore is a elite wide receiver prospect. He would fall in line with any of the top guys in 26, in my opinion.
OSU Aloha Traveler saying, how about the OSU defensive tackle portal, defensive tackle listing Texas today? He actually visited Texas on Saturday and earlier today. We've already talked about him a little bit, Aloha, so you're probably coming in midterm here. He is expected to visit Florida later today or this evening / tomorrow. I want to add this. I think the last day he can enroll at Texas is this Wednesday.
Yeah.
And that's because it's the last day to drop a class. So because he had to go into the portal so late, he's up against another deadline at the University of Texas that I believe is the 29th, which is this coming Wednesday. So we'll see what happens from there. Jerry, when will the next recruiting event be, and who are the top 5 recruits on the board at the moment, in y'all's opinion? Next recruiting event, man, it's tough that Steve Sarkisian wasn't able to be there, but
they'll have something in February, more than likely. They'll have some kids on campus in February. I don't think it'll be a big production like your first junior day. And then they'll have a lot of guys for spring practice. There were some kids that were there yesterday. They're already talking about coming back for spring practice to watch the team work out. A lot of kids like that aspect of it for a second spring visit to schools. So I think Texas will do something in February, but then a lot of it will be around the spring practice, spring game, right before, obviously, the June official visit. So that's the way Texas seems to set that thing up. January for junior day. A few visitors may trickle in through 7-on-7 tournaments and whatnot in February, or just some unofficial visits that maybe couldn't make it in January. Then you have March unofficials around the spring practice, and then you have the big spring game.
Top 5 recruits on the board?
Man,
Jalen Lott got to be one of them, right?
I mean, is he asking about my opinion on that? Look, I don't think a board is set. These guys are evaluated. I mean, look, John Turntine's there, Jalen Lott's there. Texas loves Caden Finley, but look, Texas just had a long conversation with Tristan Keys, the 5-star receiver out of Hattiesburg, Mississippi, late in the week. He may visit now. So I mean, this is kind of one of the things we talk about. Texas coaches are going to be on the road in Georgia and Florida this week. They may get in on somebody. Look, I think they're going to try to make a run at Elijah Golden, the defensive lineman out of the private school there in Sarasota, one of the best in the country. A lot of people had pegged for Notre Dame for a while. So that board I don't think the board's set. I think Texas is out here seeing where they can go. I mean, they just offered 4 kids in North Carolina late last week. Mark Bowman just reclassed from 27 to 26. He's now the number 1 tight end on the board. But I think there's a lot of moving parts in that regard right now. There's some guys Texas really, really likes. But then there's also some kids that Texas is just now going to go see for the first time this next week and see if they can get those kids to campus this spring.
All right, a couple questions here coming in. Lando Griffin, which team will be the next to win a natty at Texas, men's or women's? Eric Andrews with a super chat. Can we just give Vic Schaefer a raise and let him coach the men's team too? Rod, who do you think the next team to win a national championship, men's or women's. Look, I could just say the women's rowing team and because that seems to be a layup of late. But let's talk major sports. Football, basketball, women's volleyball, maybe soccer, any of those schools. What do we think next team to win a major championship for Texas?
It's a tough one.
I think the tennis team could be one, by the way. They're supposed to be top ranked.
Are they the major? Are they the majors?
No, they're not necessarily the major.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say it's probably going to be on the women's side more than I would say the men's, but just on the top of my head, it's tough.
Swimming diving is ranked number 1 in the country, I believe.
There you go.
Diving.
And I'd say hard to say that ain't major at Texas after what Eddie Reese has done. So
Softball's a good one.
Oh yeah, softball, men's baseball.
Men's baseball. Well, that'd be big.
That would be big considering what the Aggies have coming back, and who the Texas head coach is now.
Yeah,
that would be. Hey, I want to put this one out there, and somebody's going to have to beat South Carolina in women's basketball. But Vic Schaefer's got them 20-2. He's got them among the elite. They're knocking on the door right now. I think. I also think that Texas football has a chance next year. So I just put it out there. Some people are saying Texas. What do you think about this, Rod? Because I don't. There it is. This is the question I want to get at. Lock and horns. What's more probable? UT winning the Natty next year or year after? Really young next year. Do you think Texas is too young next year?
I kind of threw that out when I originally saw that Jim Nagy tweet about the last 5 national champions, 6 if you include Ohio State, have all had the most players drafted that year. They won the national title also. That is not coincidence, as we know. And Texas doesn't feel like that team next year. This 2025 season. They don't feel like that kind of team in the 2025 season. Now, that could all change, but it feels like 2026 may be the year that they have more draftable prospects that are ready to perform at a higher level. But, that trend, Texas could always buck that trend.
Right? Somebody may have to next year.
Yeah, exactly, right? Because it may not be a team that fits that. But I will say that kind of goes to what you've talked about, Bobby, the continuity, the roster continuity that is now more important than ever with all the transfer portal movement and, the new era and landscape of college football, NIL, keeping guys on campus so they can actually learn a system and can actually be developed in a system. Texas has done a good job of that. And it's hard for a lot of programs to be able to do that. And I think that's what that showed as well. Yeah, those programs, they got some key transfer portal acquisitions, as everybody has to. But a lot of that was homegrown for Georgia. And, and even for Ohio State, people talk about Ohio State buying. They brought in a quarterback and a running back, but look at a lot of what happened on that defense and a lot of guys they had on that offense, on the offensive lineman. That was homegrown for a few years. Some guys had kind of grown up in Jim Knowles' system and knew that system really well. I think that's a big part of it, and I will see if Texas can replicate that.
The interesting thing will be, who is that experienced team next year in college? Is it Oregon with a new quarterback but a lot of good parts around it? I don't know. I think Georgia's not. Georgia lost more early entries to the NFL draft as anybody, I believe. Or Georgia lost a lot. That combined with the guys that left.
Penn State?
Is it going to be Penn State?
I haven't looked at the roster, but
third-year starting quarterback.
Maybe next year breaks the trend. That's the other thing. Maybe next year breaks.
Because there could be the COVID thing too. It could be that now that's done,
going away now. That's a good point, Rod.
You could see that. I agree with that, Jerry. You
could see the team. They're not going to win it. But that's the most starters back off a playoff team, I believe, is Arizona State with 18 or 19 starters back.
Hey, Sam Levitt. They lose Scatterbo, though. They got to replace Scatterbo. That's big.
They got the running back from Navy, but obviously nobody's Scatterbo. But they have 18 or 19 starters back, including quarterback Jalen Tyson, a lot of their defense. Could they add enough in the portal to make a real run? I don't know. I don't think so. Not from an NFL.
I think they got there with so here's part of they got there with some smoke and mirrors at times too, guys.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not trying to denigrate them at all because they had a great year, but they don't necessarily have that top 3 or 4 roster in the country. Yeah, we'll see what that talks about. This went from a Jedi Master Bevo. Seeing Jerry get excited about a bus of recruits pulling up during a podcast yesterday is like seeing a little kid seeing Santa at the mall. Jerry, come on now. You were out there with Jeff Howe and CJ Vogel. You know they were just as excited as you. You got to admit it.
But covering recruiting on days like that is no different from the fans' perspective. Oh yeah, we have the number 1 class, but wait, who's the next guy to commit? And when you're sitting there and you see a bus pull up, you're like, oh my God, who did we miss? And we're doing this video right now. Who could jump off this bus? So I took on that as the fan. Okay, we know about all these 40 guys that are here, but who did we miss? Who's about to get off the bus? Who's the next guy? It's kind of the same thing as looking at a recruiting class, but it was cold. I'll tell you that. It was cold. Maybe I was trying to get my head towards the sun a little bit.
I could only believe that. There's Jerry.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Right.
Yeah.
I love it. Thank you, Matthew. Juan Garza. What's going on with Micah Hudson going back to Texas Tech? The wide receiver out of Lake Belton signed with Tech, then announced he was transferring to Texas A&M. I am glad Texas didn't heavily pursue him. Seems like he may be Jonte Cook 2.0. By the way, anybody heard from Jonte Cook of late?
No. The Twitter's gone silent, I think. Yeah, I mean, look, but Micah Hudson was there about 2 days longer than Mark Stoops.
Wow.
Jerry's always so
Ross Bjork didn't even have a chance to fly him back home.
See? Oh, man.
Oh, Jerry, sometimes, man, you've got it going on. Jerry and Rod, talking to you guys. We're going to go to about the top of the hour tonight, so about 10 minutes. Please get your questions in. We'll try to get to them as quickly as possible. If you don't mind, Rod B, please tell folks about our sponsor on the Sunday night live stream, the folks over at rogueshop.com.
Happy to do it. Thank you, Bob. We appreciate our friends over at rogueshop.com. That's exactly where you need to go if you have some issues with maybe anxiety, maybe aches and pains, which I can raise my hand. I got tons of those from my playing days. Maybe it's sleep deprivation you're dealing with. I had a member of the Owen, Texas football family tell me that they've been dealing with sleep issues for so long, and actually a lot of the products at Rogue Shop have helped them sleep better, and they can do the same for you. So it doesn't matter what you're dealing with. Check out rogueshop.com. They have a variety of different things there. They have oils and creams, flour, gummies, vitamins, lots of different things to help you with lots of different ailments. You can use the discount code on Texas, and you'll get a really special discount from our friends over at rogueshop.com, bringing real plant medicine back to its roots. That's rogueshop.com. Remember to use the discount code on Texas, and you'll get a discount from our friends at rogueshop.com. Also, they ship nationwide, by the way. Anywhere in the country you are in the Owen, Texas football family, our friends at Rogue Shop can get their fantastic products to you. No problem at all. Thank you very much to rogueshop.com.
Cisco Diaz asked this question for us. Should there be any worries that Sark wasn't able to attend Junior Day yesterday? We were a little worried. We're like, what's going on here? I was told that he had the flu, Jerry and Rod. What are you going to do?
Yeah, exactly.
You know, you can't go out and get a bunch of people sick. So I don't think there's anything additional to worry about.
It's a tough spot, too, because somebody in the earlier commented that kind of stinks for the players that made like $1,500 for a family trip. But it's not like you could cancel the whole event on a short notice if somebody Sark came down with the sickness. So, man, that was just bad timing is what it was. But Sark was on the road earlier in the week. I think he was off the road Thursday, maybe. So he was up in the DFW area moving around with Kyle Flood, Chris Jackson, a little into Chard Choice. And so then he started feeling bad late in the week. But it's not like you can cancel the event. I mean, so many, over 75 people already had plans to get there. Some people were flying in. It's not like you can have that thing canceled day before.
Did he do some we're from the COVID era now. Did he do some remote stuff? Did he?
I think he was
FaceTime and like, hey, I'm sick, y'all, but hey, what's up?
Yeah, I mean, the first one to tell me that was Dia Bell. I was talking to Dia, and I was like, you know what? You spend time with Coach Milwee and Coach Sark. He said, well, Coach Milwee, but Sark's in bed sick. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's the first time I heard that. And that was after lunch.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Jerry, stay with you. Talk about Milwee a little bit. One of the guys that was there yesterday. Thanks, KD35. I am the best for the super chat. Peyton Houston out of Shreveport, quarterback, was there. Gunnar Rivers, Philip Rivers' kid, is also in that category for 2027 QB. Has Texas made a decision already, or are they still looking at these guys and trying to figure out what's what? It seems like it's pretty far off to make a definitive decision before either of or both of them get to campus, et cetera.
Yeah, no, I definitely don't think so. Peyton Houston was offered along with Brady Edmonds in June 1, whenever the elite camp was last summer. Brady Edmonds, since he's from Huntington Beach, since committed to Ohio State. I think he was probably the top guy at the time. Peyton Houston, really talented kid out of Shreveport Evangel, was on campus again yesterday. I think that's his third visit to Texas. But Gunnar Rivers, son of Philip Rivers, Rod, if you haven't watched this huddle, go take a peek at this as a sophomore. He's out of Fairhope, Alabama, private school there, where Philip Rivers is the head coach. I'm going to be hard pressed to find a better quarterback prospect than him in that class. I think Bobby would agree based on what we saw late last week on Huddle. The question is, where will Philip Rivers see the Texas quarterback room as when looking at Gunnar?
Stats.
I mean, look, Arch doesn't play into it because he's a 27, but you have Trey Owens, you have KJ Lacey in 25, you have Dia Bell, 5-star in 26. Does that make sense? And a lot of people say, well, USC used to do it, but I just think times are different now. And I'm not saying he can end up at Texas, but that they'll be interested in Sark's offense in Texas and everything. But is it going to be the right fit?
Yeah. That's interesting. I'm with you. I think that ultimately that could work against you, having it that stacked. Do you think that the way Arch performs makes a difference in the offense?
Potentially could.
If he just blows up in the offense like he's just Heisman.
I mean, for instance, Arch was in 23, right? So Derek Lagway comes out in 24. Well, Texas doesn't even recruit Lagway because people will say, oh, Texas would have had a chance. They wouldn't have had a chance. Not with Arch signing with Texas. So that's kind of the thing is, how do the Rivers view Dia Bell?
Yeah.
And how that whole thing would play out. Do you now maybe the Rivers are just like the Mannings. Hey, if you go sit for a couple of years, it's great for your development physically, be a college student. But we don't have those answers yet. And there's a long way. We're a long way from that.
Interesting.
All right, this is an interesting question. Who is the last starter for Texas to come from a northern state? Has it ever happened?
It's happened. Who was
Jordan Hicks came to my mind.
Jordan Hicks from Ohio.
Right. That's a
linebacker from Ohio. Chris Sims was from New Jersey.
Yeah.
I'm not including California as a northern state.
Yeah. We're talking north of Kentucky, right? North of SEC.
Eric Metcalf was from Virginia.
Lavelle was DC.
Oh, that's good. That was a good one.
Yeah.
That's good.
I'm trying to think.
It didn't happen.
Jim Burleson, he's from Wisconsin. That was back in the 60s.
What's Colorado? Does that count? That doesn't really count, right? That's on the – it's got to be – yeah.
Nobody from Illinois that I remember transfers, any from Michigan or Indiana or anything like that. I don't remember any. It's a good question. I think Jordan Hicks is my guy, though. That's the leader in the clubhouse. If you don't include punters and kickers, which I'm not sure I know where all those guys are from. But we'll see where it goes.
It depends on which way you're looking at the map, but an Australian punter could be.
Oh, hey, here's one. Tariq
Black. There you go, Connecticut.
Good Manny.
Wow, that was a good one.
Andy may deserve a free month of ontexasfootball.com.
That was really good.
For that answer.
That was really good. Somebody said Ogbo. Did Ogbo get a start at big tight end in the game?
I don't know. They started one game at Big 12. I don't know if they started maybe 1 or 2 games they started a couple years ago. I gotta remember.
By the way, if you asked that question in hoops, you'd be littered with NBA players.
That's too easy.
Joseph Jackson, Haynes, Royal Ivy, James Thomas. I mean, there's been KD.
Yep. I agree. That's too many of those. There's a bunch of them.
That's kind of one of those questions that we all got to do. Hey, by the way, we just talked about On Texas Football and a subscription there. We have a special going on right now because we added a new member of our staff. That is Jeff Howe, formerly of Horns 24/7. He's been covering the Longhorns for 16 years. Longtime friend of all three of us, actually. Rod Babers, you've known him for a long time. Jerry Hamilton, myself. We have a special promo code right now until Tuesday night at midnight. Type in the code HOWE, HOWE, and you get a subscription, an annual subscription to On Texas Football for just $39.95 a year. That's HOWE, ontexasfootball.com. Make sure you use that code while we've got a chance here. Freelance Society has a question for us.
Hey.
Here we go. Let's go to that real quick. How serious is Colton Vossick's surgery? Do you think Texas will take one wide receiver in the spring portal? My understanding with Vossick is just cleaning stuff up. Don't think it's going to keep him out long term. What about, do you think Texas will take one wide receiver in the spring portal? Jerry or Rod, either of you guys want to comment on that?
They want one. They want a speedster. They want, if that guy's available. I think look, based on being around Austin yesterday, the early returns on the 3 guys that came in are pretty strong. But it's a small sample size. Yeah, I think if they can find the right guy, they'll absolutely take one. And as well as a tight end.
I think CJ Vogel's right. I think basically you should take one every year.
Now, I think so too.
When you think about how deep the position is and the need and Sark's offense, you probably should take a transfer portal receiver every year, at least one.
Why not?
Thank you. By the way, thank you
guys like Adonai Mitchell and Matthew Golden. Hey, that CFF draft I was telling y'all about, the top 300 players. Y'all realize where they put Matthew Golden?
He's got 2 first-round mocks lately.
23 overall.
Yeah.
They put him 23 overall. That's big stuff there. All right, we have time for one more question today. We're going to try to get out and get going a little bit. Let me see if I have this right. Edgar Padilla, top 3 must improve areas for the team in 2025 if we are to win the SEC or get to the Natty.
Oh, well,
can I start and y'all go after?
Okay,
yeah.
Go.
Kicker, go.
I was going to say kicker punter.
Oh, good. I was going to say red zone / goal line, like red zone goal line.
Yeah.
That's definitely it. Part of it for me.
Yep. Y'all aren't leaving me much, man.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I think you got they don't have a lot, right? They're knocking on the door. They went to the Final Four 2 back-to-back years, so it ain't a lot. This ain't a long list. Right. It ain't a long list. I would say also I'll throw out there the running game. You have to have more variety. When a team shuts down your one, kind of go-to concept running game, which is your outside zone, you have to be able to have something else to get to rely on. And they don't really have anything else. This season they didn't. So I would say that's a point of emphasis. Let's get more variety, diversity in the run game where we can do more things well with the ground game.
Texas wants to win the Natty. Mm-hmm. This is no disrespect to quarterback Quinn Ewers. If Texas wants to win the Natty, they need better quarterback play. I think you have to have, because they're not, I'm going to say this, and the reason why, this team this past year in 2024, more experienced, more talented than the 2025 team is going to be. So I think the quarterback's going to have to play better to kind of raise the bar. Not sure it can happen. But things like QB run game, things like deep ball efficiency, those things can matter. So if I want to say one thing that I think they have to have, I think it's better QB play overall.
Third quarter offense was out there for you, Bobby.
I didn't think third quarter period, right?
Third quarter.
Yeah.
But it wasn't Ohio State. You had a really good third quarter, actually. Yeah. That was one of your better third quarters. So, not saying they fixed it, but that's an issue too. So, we got four things. Hey, 4 things.
There's more than 4 out there. You know there are. All right. That's going to do it for tonight's live stream. You guys get back to watching the AFC Championship game. We'll be tuning in tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. or 8:15 or so with myself, Jerry, and Blake Monroe hosting Coffee and Football. We got a lot of stuff for you guys. Jeff House, son of Gordie Howe. He's one of 3 that played the NHL. All right, that's going to do it. Thank you very much, Jerry Hamilton. Thank you, Rod Babers. And thank you to our producer, Matt Hutchison. And thank you to all of you for coming in and hanging out with us for a little bit. We'll have more on the Longhorns tomorrow morning. Hook 'em.
Hook 'em.